My experience with XYZ company was horrible, and I can't wait to go back to them. Said no customer ever. Have you been frustrated by a customer service interaction that left you feeling unheard and unimportant? We've all been there, right? Whether it's a long wait on a call, confusing automated emails, or just feeling like you're just another number. These experiences can severely damage our trust and loyalty as customers. But what if there was a way to flip the script? To find that out, we have with us here Fasih Abbas, Senior Director and Head of Customer Success at Cashfree Payments. Fasih is not just a celebrated CX leader, he's got a proven track record of building champion teams at industry giants like PhonePe, Neo, Cashfree. And hey, remember Flipkart's dominance in large appliance sales? Fasih's fingerprints are all over that success story. But his expertise goes beyond results. Fasih is a master of understanding the psychology behind customer behavior. And today, he's here to share his powerful insights on how to captivate your customers and turn those frustrating experiences into loyalty building moments. Super excited to have you here, Fasih.
Hey, thank you so much, Angana, for that lovely introduction. So, I welcome the audience for this lovely session on customer psychology. Yeah, Angana, prepared. I just want to start off with how customer services as a space has evolved over a period of time. About 2 decades back, when I started, it was just a job which was really a lucrative one, and which was very attractive to me because I was good at communication. I would love speaking to people, connecting over the phone, and talking to people. About 2 decades back, it was looked at like a call center job or a customer services job, which is not so very respectful. But now things have evolved, things have changed a lot. Customer experience, customer success jobs are also looked at very, as a coveted space and a job where, they can make career, right?
Yeah.
I would like to quote an example of, how things were about 2 decades back, where people used to actually call customer services, teams across and try to speak to the customer service, executive on the other side.
Yeah.
And connecting to some organization was just over the phone most of the times, right? Emails and chats were very, very, rare, and people weren't actually preferring that. But now you see that, with the Gen X and the Gen Z coming in, and the Gen Z talking about having solutions instantly, getting resolutions to their problems instantly has really changed the scope on the customer success side. Um, while it was just India being the back office for the world, and we handling customer services roles here and responding to customers across the Western regions. Now it's absolutely the requirement is on the Indian continent, on the Indian space itself, right? Where you're talking about catering to startups like the Creds, or catering to startups like Flipkart, Amazon, PhonePe, and all of them, right? Here, I work for bigger organizations, and I would say that people are making career out of this. Being a part of various functions that are available. I've handled all the functions in bigger organizations like PhonePe and Neo Financial Solutions. Now with Cashfree, within the customer success space, where right from planning of the staff in terms of how many people we need to put, to how many hours of a workload would be required, and talking about how The training material needs to be built, talking about how a customer journey should be actually designed over a design thinking, having a design function itself, having a training function itself, and then having a quality function which actually is assessing quality of the work that is getting done. And then absolutely the ops function, which is the most crucial one, which is driving day in and day out the operation. Things are really moving smooth. Then we have something which is the social media support. Then we have the analytics, where we keep analyzing things. So there are quite a few options that are available within the customer success space. Agna.
Sorry, I think I just had a bit of a flicker. Thanks for sharing that, Fasih. It definitely sets the tone for the rest of the webinar and helps our audience understand where we're coming from. And very excited for the rest of the conversation, where we'll talk about a lot of real life examples, how you've helped customers and other companies at scale overall. But before we go there today, especially when competition for customer loyalty is so supremely fierce, probably fiercer than ever, customer success is a critical differentiator. And as you mentioned, the way we now interact with customer support, customer success teams has really changed over the past couple of decades. Why is it so important for us to understand customer psychology, in order to drive true customer success?
Right. First of all, Angna, um, I keep telling this across many forums that the customer experience starts from the very first click on the product that the customer makes, right? It could be a website that the customer is actually browsing, it could be an app that he has downloaded and has started using. So it's important to really focus on the psychology of the customers, the need, the wants of the customers, right? Now, let's talk about the various aspects of how today the businesses are done. The customers who actually are coming from tier two, tier three cities have their wants very very different from what the wants of a tier one customers are, right? Understanding your demography before you actually position your product, in a tier one kind of a space to a tier two, tier three city, is going to be different. And as an organization, we need to be mindful of what kind of products, and within the products, what kind of services that we are providing, what kind of features that we are making it available for a tier one, customer to a tier two to a tier three customer. Likewise, what may be very interesting to the Gen X people, to what may be interesting to the millennials, and what may be very interesting to the Gen Z people is absolutely different, right? You can't be positioning the same product, the same features, or the same kind of services to all these cohorts of people, and therefore it is very important that the organizations understand the psychology of the customers, and what kind of demography they come from, what are their likes, what are their dislikes. That's very very important.
Completely
This is
agree with you.
also, yeah, sorry, just adding one more point, Amina. This is also applicable on the services side, right?
Yeah.
As I mentioned by the start of the call, right? The Gen X people would be more comfortable over calls and emails, but the Gen Z people may not be comfortable, and they may be interested in getting solutions instantly through an app, through a chatbot, or through a self-serve, right? So you got to be tailoring these things for the kind of cohort of people that you are serving, right? So you need to understand what kind of people are signing up to your products, to your services, and accordingly, set things up on both the product and the services side. Angana.
Yeah, completely agree with you there. And as you said, we need to really, really focus on the minor details as well, which is what brings me to my next question on personalization. Now, as we get to know our customers more, it obviously empowers us to get more personal, and personalization can really become like a superpower for customer success. So on that note, can you walk us through the benefits of such personalized interactions, and maybe share some real world examples on how to implement this effectively?
Sure. So first of all, Angna, a study says that 52% of the customers agree that when it is a personalized approach, a personalized product, or a service provided, their happiness tends to increase. So they get more happier, when things are personalized to them. And when it was checked with, a large set of people, how okay are they in terms of sharing personal information or data, so that the organization on the other side can actually personalize products or services for them. There were about a 64% of them who said they would be interested in going for this option where their personalized, their personal info can be shared, as far as the organization on the other side was going to give a superior experience to them, right? And yes, of course, we got to be looking at how personalization, is going to benefit the organizations, right? If you have
Right.
customers who are liking your product, who are getting more happier because of the kind of personalization you're providing, of course, they tend to be sticking with you for a longer time. They tend to be making repeat purchases. They tend to be giving more and more business to you, right?
Mhm.
And talking about how personalization is happening around in today's businesses, just quoting a quick example. I'm sure, Ragna, when you've actually browsed through any e-commerce website, be it Amazon or Flipkart, and let's say that you've ordered a particular product, maybe a product like a laptop that you're picking up, and then quickly you've got these recommendations saying that for these kind of laptops that people are buying, these are the kind of accessories that people love to go for. And you have these recommendations actually coming down. This is nothing but what we call it as affinity modeling, right? And affinity modeling is, again, it's a lot of science and study that is done on how people of different cohorts, specifically age cohort, or demography, or a particular place that they come from, or who actually make these kind of purchases, what do they subsequently like buying, right? So you have already started getting recommendations which are well connected to your kind of choices, and this is something which is already happening. And there's a lot that is happening on the AI side of things, where a lot of patterns are understood, a lot of data study, a modeling that goes behind, and a lot of personalization comes just in front of you, and you would just go ahead and pick that product, or probably go for a kind of a service which is very, very close to what you were looking at, right? I would like to quote another example of how this has happened in the hospitality space, where somebody who's traveling from a city in Jaipur to Delhi, maybe is looking for a hotel room, and once he's actually booked a room, the booking website has actually understood what kind of choices he makes, what kind of room he selects, what is the price range that he goes for, what are and then they also continue to study in terms of what did he really like it, what is the kind of feedback he gave, right? And they do
Right.
not do this only with one customer, but they do this with a few thousand customers, to understand what exactly do people really like, and accordingly they personalize things for anybody who's coming from Jaipur and is looking for a room in Delhi, and who has very, very similar demography and the background that he comes from. right? And this is definitely beneficial on both sides. And for the customers, they aren't wasting time in picking the right kind of product, because the kind of products that are shortlisted or chosen for them are more personalized. And on the other side, the businesses actually have higher success rates in terms of getting the business from these customers, because they have actually done most of the job initially by just personalizing their choices, right? There's a lot that we can speak on the services side as well, and I think there are subsequent questions which may get these answers. Yes.
Yeah, there definitely are. But there's just one example that comes to my mind, or a company who's doing it really well as well, and that's Mintra. If you buy on Mintra, and if you've had just entered a few details, of course, after your own consent about your preferences, etc., they actually give you a preview of how this particular garment would look on you, and I think that is so helpful for a lot of us who love shopping online. I think that's majority of us, and it just helps us make decisions really quick, and also reduces a lot of cost for Mintra in terms of logistics, shipping things back and forth. So yeah, just wanted to put that example out there before moving on to the next question. uh,
That's
but
fantastic.
while
Yeah.
we, yeah, and
Now that was a
while
good
we
example,
provide,
Angana. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, and while we do share a lot of information here and there with different kind of companies, things sometimes do go south, right? So for brands, it becomes very important to be proactive. But being proactive is often better than playing catch up than to react to issues, right? But how would you compare proactive versus reactive customer engagement approaches, and maybe also share some best practices on how we can put it into action?
Yeah, Angana, there's a very nice saying that no CS needed is the best CS provided, right? Which means that if your merchants or customers would not have a need to actually reach out to a customer service desk, then your product is great, your services are great already, right? Yes, the answer, I mean, the mantra to it is to have a very proactive support than having a reactive support. Um, I mean, people may ask, how is this possible, right? With today's world, with the sophisticated systems that we have, we can easily understand how our product is performing, how certain features on our products are actually performing, and we can actually monitor this for the merchants and customers, and we can proactively try to solve problems of the merchants and customers than actually the merchants facing the problem, they reaching out to us, and then we reactively respond to them and try to solve the problem. Let me give you an example, right? Being in the payment space, right? If we are able to understand, how our systems are performing, how are the success rates, and if we are able to do that specifically on specific merchants, and monitor this very closely, we can actually fix things at the back end much faster, and we can ensure that the product is running really smooth, and that our merchants and customers aren't feeling any kind of a hassle of a downtime, or the product, or our services going down, right? Imagine if this is not done at our end, and if the merchants actually face this problem, they reach out to us and say, hey, you know what, this was done and we are not able to use this feature, or if this particular product isn't functioning, we're seeing a lot of failures. It's going to be very reactive from our side, right? I think it's very important for us to be very proactive, monitor how the performance is, and then try to solve things in case if things are failing at our end. Proactive does not just mean that you're actually looking at your product performance and continuously monitoring it and ensuring that things are working for us, but it's also about ensuring that we understand the merchants' needs, and we are proactively reaching out, to the merchants or the customers much before they reach out to us and say, hey, you know what, we've done this, and we are looking at the next thing on the product side or on the services side. We should be much faster, and we should be able to understand what they're looking for, and we should proactively try to cater to what their needs are. Right. How does this benefit, the organizations? Of course, what we've looked at in the past, Angana, is that we've seen a lot of happiness and stickiness from merchants and customers when they've not had a need to actually reach out to somebody with a problem and requesting them to be resolved. Vis-a-vis, in case if we have not monitored it proactively, and if we've not done things for the merchant and customers directly, we've seen those merchants and customers definitely reaching out to us and seeking help on certain problems that they are facing. Right.
Yeah. And,
So, yeah, yeah.
no, go ahead,
Yeah.
go ahead. Correct.
Uh,
And no, what I was saying to is that all of this ultimately fosters trust from your customer, and as we all know, trust is the cornerstone of any successful relationship, whether it's business, personal. So, can you share some actionable strategies so that teams can establish and maintain trust with their customers, especially when things get a little bumpy?
Right. And I think trust is a very, very important element in any kind of a relationship in the business side as well. Right. If we do not build trust in our merchants and customers, it's quite possible that they will start reducing the business with us. They stop buying, or they stop, continuing to be with us, and they would rather look at somebody else who can give, who can assure, that trust factor. Let me tell you a few things about, how trust can be, built. The first thing on trust is, the organization should look at creating a strong brand identity, right? Um, if we are not able to build that brand identity, and people do not trust in the brand, saying that, oh, this particular product is from this particular organization or this brand, and I'm sure it's going to be really good, and that itself builds in a lot of trust. And if you do not build this, then there's a speculation always on the mind saying that, hey, you know what, if I start using the product or services, is it going to be sustainable, is it reliable? These are questions that are going to be on the mind all the time, right? I was going through, I was reading an article where there was a research done on some neurosciences, where um, you know there was a drink served, to people, and when it was told that this is a very expensive drink, and a very similar test was done on where it was said that, this drink is of this brand, and it's a new one that has been introduced. I think on the neurosciences research side, right, they understood that it actually made the customer feel that it is actually very tasty and it's very nice. The fact that it was a little expensive, or the fact that it was from a certain brand itself, kind of triggered a few things on the brain of the user, that he already started feeling that, yes, this is going to be a great drink, right? So creating that brand identity, that I'm going to be using the product of this particular brand and this is going to be amazing, that itself kind of builds a lot of trust. Well, there are other factors as well, when being in the B2B space, right, what we ensure is that we first of all sign the contracts, and in the contract we try to pen down every little thing that we have actually discussed, negotiated, and agreed upon with the merchant much before entering the relationship, right? How does this help build the trust? There could be changes on either sides of the organization. There could be people moving into different roles, and there could be newer people coming in, right? They should not be questioning, what has been agreed upon, because it's all laid on the contracts, and it's really important to execute the contract the way it has been written. And if there are any changes, those need to be further documented and should be agreed on both sides, right? This brings in a lot of trust, when you're dealing with the merchants and customers, right? There should be a constant focus on quality. While you may be able to build trust, but then if you do not focus on delivering a great quality product or a great quality service, then it's again going to be questionable in terms of yes, it's all fine, but I'm not enjoying the quality of the product, right? This could be another thing. Yet another important element in the trust side is to be very transparent, right? You got to be very clear and say, hey, you know what? Our systems went down, and this is the downtime that we had, and we're so sorry about it. We've now fixed it, and things are absolutely fine. You got to be transparent. You got to be telling your merchants and customers if there's something like that. You can't be hiding or you can't be manipulating, and that is something which the merchants or the customers do not appreciate. Should you actually manipulate, and if the merchant and customers are getting to know that this is what is happening, then they lose that trust factor in you. One of the other things that I've seen, being in the e-commerce space and in the fintech space, is that people really believe in what other people say about your products and services. So you got to be positioning these testimonials, these public reviews, as much as possible, right? And that kind of builds in more trust, saying that, hey, you know what, these organizations are talking about the products and the services of this organization, and this is great to hear. And that itself kind of builds a lot of trust in people, before they opting for your product or services, right? And another important factor is, should there be any mistake, right? You got to be quickly acknowledging it, correcting the mistakes, and going back to the organization or to the customers and say, hey, you know what, we so sorry that this happened, but we've corrected this, and this is absolutely fine now, right? I think these are the things which can build a lot more trust, Angna.
For sure, 100% with you there, Fuzzy. And just like trust is one cornerstone, equally important are metrics. And they're the roadmap to success, isn't it? And something tells me that you are big on it. So, what are some of the key metrics that you recommend for tracking how effective the initiatives are when it comes to customer success?
I think there are a lot of metrics which are very internal to our performances, in terms of how quickly are we able to respond to customers when they are reaching out to us, right? How quickly are we able to resolve things for them, right? And that's another important thing that we internally track. But we also focus on the outside in metrics, which are basically surveys that we run with the customers, and gather feedback, gather the ratings, and we constantly keep assessing in terms of what and how customers are feeling about the kind of products that we are actually giving, the kind of services that we are actually delivering to the customers. So the CSAT as a metric is definitely an outside-in metric, which is very important. There's also a metric which is NPS, and the Net Promoter Score is yet another important proven metric, and it's important to track timely and take action accordingly on that. Let me pause here and also tell the audience that a lot of the organizations actually, use NPS at a very overall level, in terms of how did you feel about using our products or our services. But that isn't enough. That would not tell you that would not tell you where exactly things are going wrong. So you should have, subsequent questions which are lined up, which are related specifically to the kind of product that particular customer has used or the kind of service that the customer has used, and gathering information at a very sub product level or sub service level, or which is very very particular to merchants and customers who are using different products and different services, is very important. Also trying to understand the new features that we've rolled out, are they going well? Are they working well for the customers? Are they working well for the merchants? These are questions that you need to ask through your NPS survey. Gather them and try to see how you can actually improve and get better there, right? There's another important metric, which is looking at the customer effort score. And that's basically how much effort that the customer had to put in getting a certain thing done. It could be as simple as how easy or difficult was it for the merchant to actually get onboarded with us and start transacting with us. How easy or difficult it was for the merchant to actually reach out to a customer care executive and get his problem resolved, right? And here, unlike the NPS, the lesser the number, which is 1 or 2, may be treated as a very very good sign, whereas a 6 or a 7 may be treated as a not a very very good indication of how things are going, right? Largely the customer effort score should tell us in terms of what is the kind of pain or what amount of pain they are going through in terms of getting things resolved for what they're coming to the organization with, right? And so these are some important metrics that I spoke about. If there are specific questions related to any of these metrics, more than happy to go deeper on this and discuss a little more.
Sure, but continuing on that also, when you get so many metrics, right? You mentioned the NPS, customer effort score, and a bunch of other metrics, right? Now, when you have access to these metrics, what you're really getting is a gold mine of data, right? And using this data, you can really tap into a lot of very 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 valuable insights. Now, instead of just understanding the needs, how can we use this data, and coupled with other things of course, how can we use this to forge deeper connections with our customers? And uh, maybe you can also help us with a few techniques that you found particularly useful.
Yeah, I think data is a very, very important part of a customer success unit. Without data, we would not understand, what is really happening to our customers, right? Um, Data, in fact, tells us, for example, in a customer success kind of a space, right? It talks about, what are the kind of arrival patterns we have on the volumes. Should we staff people more on Monday or versus Tuesday, or should we staff people lesser on a Saturday or a Sunday? This can be actually easily understood from data. We can even look at data at an hour level and see, how many people we need to staff to ensure that, we are responding to merchants and customers who are reaching out to us very quickly. That is the very beginning of the use of data in the customer success side. We can then look at what is happening to the customers who've already reached out, but their issues aren't getting resolved. Where exactly is it getting stuck? How much time is it taking? What kind of issues are getting stuck? And these, once understood, we'll be able to combat. We'll be able to go back, to these particular issues, and focus a lot more from a leadership, side as well, and see how we can actually solve these problems very quickly. Data also helps you reduce the pain of the merchants and customers if it is used appropriately. You would be able to understand how frequently the merchants or customers are coming to your customer success unit, and why are they coming, what are the kind of issues, right? And if you are actually able to pick this data, and we've done that with cash free payments, and that is why a lot of our merchants and customers enjoy being with us, because we understand what they're going through. We actually fix this at the root, right? If we are able to pick problems which are related to product, which are related to any process, or if it is related to any policy, and kind of segment that data, slice and dice it carefully, and go back to relevant product teams and say, hey, you know what, our merchants are coming to our customer success unit with these kind of problems, and specifically give the voice of customer as well, and say, hey, can you fix this for us? And if you are able to fix this at the product level, then it's quite obvious that merchants and customers may not face this subsequently, and those volumes will also stop coming to us, right? Like I mentioned through the conversation, if you do not have merchants and customers reaching out to us, then that's a great experience that they are going through, right? So there are many more things that the data can do. We have actually used data now to look at how it can be part of our Gen AI responses, and how we can use them for better responses that our bots and automations can give. What kind of responses would merchants and customers appreciate, and what kind of responses they would not appreciate. All this can be actually analyzed through the data itself.
Yeah. All the things we talked about, Fasi, over the past half an hour, whether it's knowing more about your customers, using different data, different metrics to build trust with them, all of it helps us really know the pulse of our customer. And when we know that, we're able to build rock solid customer relationships. Now, empathy and active listening being key, can you maybe talk a little bit about how these skills truly help us understand customer needs, and more importantly, how can we make them second nature for our teams?
Right. I think it's absolutely important for organizations to start checking on the EQ while they are hiring people, right? Most organizations hire people, based on IQ. Why do I say EQ is important? The emotional quotient is important, specifically in a customer success kind of an environment, where if you're hiring a person who has this EQ, who can quickly understand between the lines, what the person on the other side is saying, and try to respond to that particular customer or merchant accordingly, you've actually solved 50% of the problem, right? You are empathizing with that merchant or the customer and say, hey, you know what, I understand what you're going through, and this is not a great thing that you may be going through, and this is not what the organization wants our customers and organization, merchants to feel. And empathizing very appropriately and very precisely to what the problem is something that is really, really important. How empathy and how these things, empathy and very active listening really helping a lot of organizations, right? Now let me put active listening a little more than just a human listening to another human, right?
Yeah.
Active listening should be also on the product side, right? You're actually listening to what the customers are doing on your product. How many of them are coming to a certain feature but not using it completely? Which means that you're listening to the customers. You're actually going back to these cohort of customers, trying to connect with them and say, we see that you started this particular thing on the product, but you don't seem to be completing it, or you haven't actually used this. What went wrong? And actually asking that is really, really helpful for a product kind of an organization. Same is the case when it comes to e-commerce or any other organization which runs a lot of digital things, right? If you see that products, I mean, there are customers who are coming but are getting bounced off. uh, you might want to understand, why did this happen? Why did they come to a particular feature or a tile on an app? They clicked on it but did not make a purchase, or they did not use the service that was available on that particular click or that particular tile on the app. And if you are able to carefully listen to what they are saying, either through information gathered over a separate connect that you're making, or maybe just by data and analytics in terms of what may be going wrong, right? Then I think this is going to really help organizations get better and get well connected with what the customers want, and they'll be able to do a lot more business, right? Active listening on the customer success side is definitely important, and we're not talking about customers talking to humans on the other side, our customers, care executives, but we're also talking about how our bots are listening carefully to the merchants and customers, right? How are they picking information, and how are they actually responding to these merchants and customers? If they aren't able to do this, right, then there's something that needs to be trained more on the bot, trained more on the automation so that things get better, right? Simplest of the example is if you see that a chatbot is answering some of the queries on to the customer on the other side. um, but you see that there are certain, I mean, the chat isn't getting completed, and customers doesn't seem to be happy and wanting to reach out to an executive who's live. Then you may want to pick those flows and address them very quickly to see why the bot was not able to fulfill the customer's requirement, right? Likewise, if you see that the chat got abandoned abruptly, right? And it is happening at certain nodes or certain journey points, then you may want to pick that very quickly and try to fix that, try to train the bot and get better on that,
Yep.
right? So active
Uh,
listening and empathy, yeah, is definitely an important element which every organization should really focus on. Yes.
and before we sort of wrap this up, I do have one question before we wrap up the questions. So, building on your incredible work at Cashfree Payments, could you maybe share some case studies or success stories that highlight the power of a strong customer success team? Some practices, maybe.
I don't want to share my trade secrets though, but I would definitely share some good practices that organizations can pick and try to use them on their side. We're at the verge of losing a very critical merchant, and he was talking about having a particular pain and a problem using this particular product that he was using, and he was complaining about a lot of his customers not getting money on time, and though the money was tried sending through one of our products. This was something which was a perception when we went deep dive into data. And what we did was, we said, hey, you do not worry. We are setting up this discussion with you, and we will come back with a solution to this. And we went back, we did a lot of data study, we understood, what was happening, and we went back with data. We said, hey, you know what? Do you know that this is the industry benchmark on this product, and the success rates are anywhere between 98 or 98.5. But you know what you've been getting from Cashfree? You've been getting 99 plus, right? This is point number one, which immediately changed his mindset, right? The next thing was for the 1% that you're losing out, let us go deep on this and understand. We've done this data dissection for you, and we clearly, put this across with all the facts and figures and saying, hey, you know what? A lot of these drops that were happening were because of a problem at the beneficiaries side, the end users who were connected to your app. They had problems with your banks, and this is the information that is coming out from the Benny Bank itself. And when we showcase this information, then is when the merchant understood that, hey, you know what, I was unnecessarily panicking, and this is exactly what I needed clarity on. So net, when we went back with information, we went back with this kind of approach. The customers on the other side actually, understand, how good things are with cash-free payments, and they would love to actually continue. These confusions are to be cleared. These perceptions are to be changed, and we should position ourselves with what great things that are happening with them. Yeah.
Okay. Now, before we wrap up, what are some of the most impactful things that teams can do today that would start that we can do to start improving our customer experiences right from today?
I think an important thing, Angana, is I've been with a lot of organizations, and specifically I've met a lot of people across many different organizations. One thing that I see is that the product teams, specifically the product managers who build the product, do not spend time, with the customers, with the users. This is the change that organizations should try to bring. The engineering folks should spend time with the customers, with the end users. When I say spending time, it should be literally, trying to interact with some customers, trying to understand, what they went through using the product, what they went through, using a particular feature that was launched. The other way to also look at it is, come spend time with the customer success teams, and try to understand what kind of problems your customers are talking about, what kind of product problems they're talking about, and try to solve them. Right. And I think this should be a practice which should be actually made very, very important. And I think if the team start doing this, they should see a lot of difference.
That's fantastic. That
Right.
was super, super, super helpful. And while I have so many more questions in the bank that I wanted to ask you, but I am a little saddened to see that we're almost closing up at the hour. So, without dealing it much further, uh, I would like to now move on to the most exciting part of this webinar, which is the rapid fire round. Pretty simple, five very quick questions. This is probably not as glamorous as the one that Karan Johar does, but then we're a close second. So, yeah, five very quick answers. The first thing that comes to your mind, are you ready?
Yes.
Okay. Awesome. You've mentioned a lot of metrics throughout the conversation. Which are the top three metrics that you cannot live without?
CSAT, NPS, and a resolution time, a speed of resolution. These are the three metrics.
All the customer success folks in the audience, it's time to take these notes once again. With that, we move on to the second question. If customer success was a superhero, what would their superpower be? And you can only say one.
Um, can you repeat the question if you don't mind? Sorry,
Okay.
Angana.
If,
I didn't get.
if customer success was a superhero, what would be their superpower?
And the superpower would be to just resolve by a blink of an eye. So if we are able to solve things for the customers instantly,
Okay.
that should be the
What's the
that should be the thing.
common,
Yes.
fair enough. The third question is, what's a common pet peeve amongst CS professionals?
Sorry, Angana, I did not get that question.
No worries. What is a common pet peeve amongst CS professionals? What is the one thing they absolutely dread or hate?
Um, it's a very bad escalation or a bad comment made on services,
Okay.
right?
If customer success could be best friends with another internal team, which team would it be and why?
I think it should be the product team. If you are able to make very good friends of the product, and if you are able to influence a lot of changes on the product, then you're doing a great job. Yeah.
Okay, excellent. Now, two more questions to go, right? If you could have an animal represent customer success, which would it be?
I would say it should be a dog, and that's because it's so very faithful, and it doesn't leave the master that easily. Given the most dire situations, customer success is a team which stands by with the organization at all times and keeps serving, supporting in the worst kind of situations.
Brilliant. Now, the final question, and feel free to enact this, okay? You can only use yeah, you can only use emojis to describe a key customer success principle. Fasi, what emoji combination best represents active listening?
Um, so it's actually a difficult question. On the emoji side, yes, but active listening. I would still say if it's a smile and a genuine smile, then you've actually heard and understood what the person is said on the other side, right? So I think it's to smile and to show that confidence that yes, I've heard you very carefully, right?
That's the smile.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, fantastic. Very nice.
Fantastic rapid fire. Fasi, do we have time to take a couple of questions from the audience?
Yeah, one or two, of course.
Yep. Okay, awesome. A question from Aditya Jain. How can small businesses without a dedicated customer success team apply psychological principles to improve customer engagement?
Yeah. If it is a small business, right, it's highly possible that the founders themselves or the founding team gets involved in solving, customer problems, right? Uh, you are very close to the product and you're also close to the customers, unlike bigger organizations who have created that distance between business teams to product teams to the customer success team. You're very very close to it. So if you're able to understand what exactly the customers trying to say, if you're able to understand the psychology of it, you can make the difference instantly, Aditya. So you don't have to be worried about it at all, right? So all you have to do is you carry that thought in mind, saying that I'm going to carefully listen to what the merchants or the customers are saying. I will understand the psyche that they're coming with, and let me quickly try to put things together. Is it a process change that I need to bring? Or is it a policy change that I need to bring? Or is it something that I need to fix at the product side? If you're able to just use these two, three things, while you're actually trying to solve, then you are actually applying the psychological principles, and you don't have to be worried whether you have a dedicated team or not.
Okay. All right. The next question is from Shafali Mathur. Can you share an example of a particularly challenging customer pain point and how it was resolved without spilling too many beans, of course?
Yeah, so there are many examples, right, of what customers have gone through, and how we've actually solved this problem for the customers, right? A particularly very challenging customer pain point is is something where customers have actually, in one of my organizations that I worked with, customers actually found it very difficult when their money got debited and money wasn't reaching to the customer on the I mean to the beneficiary. So basically, you're trying to transfer money using UPI, and you're expecting that the money would reach the person on the other side. The money is not reaching at all, and in those days, it would take anywhere between, say, about 4 hours to about 48 hours for the issue to get resolved. Which means that the money would get credited to your friend's account, or the money would actually then come back to you, and it would show as a failed transaction. How did we solve this problem? I was actually working with the founders very closely, and we spoke about the number of customers who coming with this particular problem. And why was this happening? This was actually happening because the banks were going down, the banking systems were going down, and we wanted to avoid this kind of a situation for a lot of our customers. So what did we do? We created this concept of a switch where we would engage the switch wherever we see that the success rates at a particular bank side are going lower. And once the switch is engaged, the app would actually throw up this message saying that, hey, sorry, we would not be able to transfer this money to your friend right now because your bank is facing a problem right now. Why don't you try this after some time? What would happen to the customer? He would not try to transfer the money now, but would try it later. And where is the money lying? The money is safe with the customer itself. So there's no anxiety. So
Yeah,
this was a complex problem that we solved in the early days of UPI. Yeah.
brilliant. Okay, this is going to be the last question, and there are two people who've asked this
Mhm.
question in so many words. Leander and Kinjal ask, what are some of the effective ways to rebuild trust with a customer after they've just had a negative experience?
I think the first thing is to acknowledge and say, hey, sorry, this is exactly what happened. Let me share this RCA with you. These are the 2 3 points where we failed, and we're extremely sorry about this. Okay, but what we want to also assure is these are the fixes, the A, B, and C fixes that we have put in place, and we've done this very quickly for you, right? As we value as our very important customer. And if you're able to do this very quickly, Leander, then you will not lose the customer most likely, because things can go wrong with any organization. But how does the organization respond to that kind of a situation is what you get judged upon, right? If you are able to stand there strong and say, hey, you know what, I'm going to solve this, and you do not have to worry at all, and say that, we understood what the problem, what the mistake was, and we've also corrected this for you, then, you can actually repair the relationship, you can actually rebuild that trust.
Thank you, Fasi. What an excellent webinar. What an excellent session this was. So many more questions in the bank, but unfortunately, we're just closing down on the hour. But cannot thank you enough for taking out the time to do this, Fasi. We're super excited to be associated together and hope we get a chance to do this soon.
Thank you very much, Angana, on the other side, for bringing me here, and hope the audience liked it, and there were quite a few insights that are going to be helpful to them.
Thank you, everybody, for
Thanks.
tuning in. Thanks, Fasi. Once again, thanks to the audience for tuning in. Stay tuned for the next webinar with a special surprise coming up soon.